This episode is brought to you with the support of patrons of the Jessa channel, like Morgwin. Thanks, Morgwin. Join the party at patreon.com/the Jessa channel. Can you hear me now? Yay! I think I should be coming through. Has everybody got momentary deafness? Can you hear me now? Yay! I think I should be... And let me just, there's a small echo. Hold on one second. Let me try and fix that. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so let me see. That should be a little bit better. No echo now? Is that better now? It does mean that the guys may not be able to hear. Somewhere I'm getting an echo. Ah, I got it. I got it. I caught the echo. I caught the echo. Got it. Okay, one moment, please. Let me also fix this over here. You know, it's not I don't think it's really a proper stream until you have a technical error. You guys should be able to hear me now without an echo. Can you hear me now? Hello. I can see you guys all there. Can you hear me now? And sound is good now. Thank you, Valest. Thank you. And also the guys should let me know by waving their hands. Can you guys hear me now? Yeah, perfect. Okay, thank you. All right. So let's try that again, shall we? Let's just go to Blackfear for a minute. And that was not a race joke. I mean, literally, let's just go to a black screen for a minute. Let's start that again. Hold on a second. Hey there, everyone. You are watching the Jessa channel live on Twitch and YouTube. Who said black it up? Who did that? I like you. You're awesome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jessa channel. Today, we are doing a recording for a PAX roleplay panel. And we have some of the guys in chat. Voices is in the chat right now. And just like I said yesterday, you guys aren't really here to see me. I know you're not. Let's just be real. Let's just be honest. Everybody is here to listen to the expertise of 4 of the best role players on YouTube. And I'm not joking about that. That is a really serious and very true statement. These guys are all incredibly good at their crafts. And I'm going to be bringing them up on screen momentarily. And I want to say also, before I do that, why don't you guys say hello to me? Say hello to me. And also, I'm going to let you know that there are some people in chat right now. There are 4 people in chat that are part of my team, the Jessa Channel team. And Valest is one of them. I see Open World Attic. I know you. Hi. I see Angie there. Angie. Gail is another one of my team members. Valest is a team member. Morgwin is a team member. And their job is to keep us safe. Their job is to greet every single person who comes into both chats. And their job is to drop links in. And I see a lot of new faces here and some old faces. And I'm really happy to have you here. We are recording a role play panel for PAX West, which is going to be online this year. How many of you guys know about PAX West? Let me get a hand in chat if you guys know about PAX West. PAX West is one of the biggest gameplay gaming conventions, and it's part of the whole entire PAX family. PAX West, PAX East, PAX South, and PAX Unplugged, and PAX Australia as well too. And so I see a lot of people from Rycon. Hello, Shirley. Shirley's like, I'm so glad I'm not on the mic today. She's like, I am so glad that I can just sit back with my cup of skooma tea and laugh at those guys. Shirley was with me yesterday, where yes, she does really have skooma tea. Are you drinking your skooma tea today, Shirley? And but yeah, so PAX is a huge convention. Thousands and thousands of people go to PAX. It's going to be online this year, and I had 2 panels submitted, and they were accepted. 3 panels, actually. 1 wasn't accepted, but we'll just forget about that one. And this is the second one, and we recorded one yesterday, and we're recording one today. But I'm not going to spend any more time taking up the whole screen. I'm going to introduce to you some of the best role players on YouTube. Gentlemen, you may unmute the yawn microphones. And
Finally.
exactly. He's like, would she? I was
Trumpet
just,
at the bit.
you guys are just waiting for me to stop talking and get. You're just sitting there like, is she done yet? Oh, I'm scared. But I do have some awesome role players here with me today, and I'm going to introduce them starting above me, and that is Carl above me, Voices from the Dark. And
hello.
He's so cute. Ain't he cute? And we are doing that.
Am I the youngest? Like, what age are people here?
I think
37.
Wow, tough question right out of the gate.
Just get out of the way. 37.
Yeah.
Just a ballpark.
I'm the
32.
youngest here. I'm the youngest here, all right?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yes.
Thank you.
Jessa,
Yes.
and then me.
And then me.
Then me.
Yes, exactly. That's the way to answer that question, right, Shirley?
Yep.
So,
Rygon said he was 32. That means I'm 31.
yeah, exactly.
Different. Yep.
31. Yep.
So, sound check from the mod team, please. And
I think I'm muted apparently.
yeah, Damo is muted.
Aw.
I hear you fine, Damo. You're coming through fine on the on OBS.
We need that English accent in here.
My chat is
Indeed.
saying my chat is saying I'm muted. Maybe I've done the wrong thing here. Wait a second.
Oh, Damo, when
his
you
own
when you
stream.
add browser source, double click
Yes.
on your browser and make sure that it says control audio via OBS.
Ah,
Yeah. And then they'll be able to hear you.
I've lost my browser there. Wait a minute.
Yep.
Okay. That might explain the start.
And then also, one second, my stage hand just let me know something. What'd you say, Bill?
No, okay. Is that better, folks? Can you hear me?
All right. So we're going to go ahead and do some introductions here. Carl, and I'm going to ask each of you to tell me a little bit about your channel. Tell me about...
Might be just my channel that can't hear me. I don't know what I've done differently.
And Damo, mute yourself while you're working on that. And tell me about your... Tell me about your channel. Tell me about the type of role play you do. Tell me about maybe some role play you might be doing right now, what you have going on in your channel. Now is the time to shine and show us the cut of your jib. Carl, you're up first.
Okay. So, first and foremost, why the weird channel name, right? Voices from the Dark. Well, I started the channel 10 years ago when I was 14. And I thought that was like a cool, edgy username, and now it's way too late to change it. So, Voices from the Dark. So that was in 2010, and like in 2011, like Skyrim came out, and that was sort of when things changed. Because when I picked it up and started playing a role-playing game where you enter the role of a character and you make your own adventures, not just what the game prescribes to you through scripted quests and the like, that's when the channel sort of blew up. People seemed to enjoy it. They liked seeing me get into character, because I did this series with a Khajiit named Kijor, who went on his own mission where I made my own quest, my own machinima, my own story, essentially. So people didn't know where was it gonna go. And so since then, I've been just doing like hints of that here and there. I'm not like a, fully roleplay channel, but I like to just sprinkle in machinima here and roleplay here, and just some extra fantasy make-believe in the RPG series that I do. Like lately I'm playing Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, and game with a lot of mechanics, do this, grind that, do this. That's not exciting in and of itself. But if you take it and you just add that little extra spice, like, oh, this is the story of Einar Hellfury, who needs to find himself a woman, but he's hopeless, so nobody really likes him. If you just give it that little extra, people tune in to see that story, not just the game, but like the story and the character. Other than that, like the main important thing right now with the shameless plug on my shirt is I'm doing a Oblivion 100% run on the hardest difficulty.
Yes!
And I am 3 or 4 episodes away from fully completing it.
Really?
At episode 250, the game will be 100% completed on the hardest difficulty. So yeah, Skyrim, RPGs, Oblivion, with just that little dash of roleplay. That's where I really, really enjoy myself.
That's awesome, because I have watched your Oblivion playthrough with Marina frickin' misfire
That's right.
since the beginning.
That's how you say it. Her name's Marina Mistfire, but every intro it's like Marina frickin' Mistfire. You need the frickin'. It's her official middle name now.
And also, Carl is the only one of the 5 of us that, unless you guys want to prove me wrong, he is the only one of the 5 of us that can do a proper Khajiit. Do it, Carl. Come on.
It's not even that good.
I
It's
told
just
you, I
Kajor.
told you.
Kajor. It's just Kajor, Skooma, cat. I can do hissing. Hissing is an okay thing to do.
I do it. I told you. He's so good at it. I can't do a Khajiit to save my life. Anybody else? Can
Putting me on the spot here.
Well, welcome to my panel.
I love it.
So that is Carl, Voices from the Dark, who is above me. And next we go over there to Damo 2986, who is watching his adoring fans who are chatting to him, because he's, by the way, Damo is live on YouTube right now, and he's got a really adoring group of people who really enjoy him. And Damo's actually the newest one to our group, as far as I've known Damo for a long time, but he's new to some of you guys. And Damo is he let me just tell you, he has played Baldur's Gate 1 and Baldur's Gate 2 with I don't want to curse on a PAX panel, a jerk dwarf. He's really a master at character development, is what he excels at. So Damo, tell me all about yourself.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had about 10 minutes of technical difficulties here, which is well known on my streams. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. I've been doing this, recording LP videos and streams since TVs were black and white, if you believe some people. Since 2010, April 2010, so I've been doing it just over 10 and a half years. Never really set out to be a role player. Saw a couple of Sims videos on YouTube back in 2010, and it kind of developed from there, really, due to tabletop. But I record role-play games, strategy games, simulation games, because they tend to give the best opportunities for character development, storytelling, and role-play. I do throw in the occasional other type of game, but I'm always playing at least one, if not two, of my main genres at any one time. So that's just a little bit about my channel.
All right, thank you, Damo. Thank you. That is Damo 2986. If you're on YouTube, all of their channel links are in the description below. Plus, the team will be posting their channel links throughout the entire stream. Next up, we have Da Man. Over here, way over there is Rycon Roleplays, and Rycon is known for his buttery voice. He's got advantage, and he does great voice acting. His voice acting is top notch. Rycon, welcome to the panel. Tell me a little bit about your awesome channel.
Well, I'm Rycon. I've been doing this for around about 7 years. As of yesterday, I think it was the channel anniversary. Started back in 2013, so I don't know if I want to count the first year as being year 1 or year 0, because it was an incubation period to start with before things got going. But this has all just been a big happy accident, which I'm happy that it's here and that it's an accident. This is my full-time gig. This is what I do with my life now. It's what I decided to push myself into, telling stories on YouTube, using games to do that as well, which I find is just a super fun and interesting and different kind of medium that is super niche, but at the same time, the people who love it really, really love it. And I'm one of those people who loves it as well. So it's really, it's been amazing to see where that kind of role play community on YouTube has gone over the years. More and more people are getting introduced to it, and it's growing more and more over time. And what I love is that there's always going to be new stories to tell as well, because we get new games. Some of them good, some of them bad, but most of them you can do something with. You can tell a story.
Thank you, Raikon, for being here. I really appreciate that. And Raikon, I just want to tell you that I was watching your Outer Worlds playthrough. Oh, so good. Yeah, and so
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I had to put that one on hiatus for a while,
Yeah.
just because. Yeah, it's one of those really tough things. I feel like if I had like an extra 2 days in the week, I could do everything. Or maybe like an extra 10 hours in the day. I feel like I could accomplish everything. But yeah, it's one of those really difficult things, deciding where to put time, what to spend it on. And unfortunately, a lot of that is decided by who watches what. And sometimes things just drop off, and I can't explore those stories anymore. Yeah.
You don't have to explain to me. I have numerous series, Pathfinder Kingmaker, that I haven't finished. So so basically you're talking to the choir here. I just wanted to tell you that the episodes that you did put out, I really enjoyed them.
Thank you.
So lastly, keep doing this gentleman over here. That one over here is Stu Couchwarrior, and Stu I've been watching since his very first episode, and his creativity is out of this frickin' world. I've been telling him that for years, but his character design, he's weaving an entire story, and he's doing it with one game, with Skyrim. And he's got this entire opus, this magnum opus of characters. So I'm going to let him talk about that. Stu, you're up.
That was a complete accident as well. So yeah, I started my channel in 2013, a couple months after Jessa launched hers, I guess. Started out on the Xbox, and it was weird. We were talking about this last week with some people in the community. That particular series, Aranis Arcana, that character, something about the way I played that character, I guess, was sort of like lightning in the bottle at the time for some reason, and it kind of took off. But my channel is always been about role play, but I am I am famous or infamous for having said that I would never ever in a million years do voices, and now it's like all I do. It's bizarre. But it's been a weird.
Rub that in. I got to rub that in. Because I told him he should do voices years ago. I did. And he said, oh, hell no. And I said, no, you should do. And he said, no. And now he voices how many characters?
Well, I don't know. The series that I'm doing now has, I think, 6 primary characters whose stories overlap. They all have their own origin stories, and then their stories overlap. And then there's a bunch of supporting characters. And so, the voices that I have difficulty doing and sustaining for a long period of time, those inevitably become the supporting characters because I don't have to do them constantly, but yeah, that's kind of what it's transformed into. And over time it went from being, I think videos that were focused on role play mechanics, like how do I build the background and stuff, into voiced characters with pre-recorded, and published videos, to now just being a completely live production where I try to do all the stuff in the moment live, all improvisational. And that's been just an evolution over the last few years.
And that's what we're here to talk about. And Stu has given us a great segue into what we're here to talk about. We're not just here to talk about role play itself, which is a huge concept. It's a big word, and it means a lot of different things to different people. There's live action role play. There's tabletop role play. There's cosplay, which a lot of people consider to be role play as well, too. But we're talking about improvisational role play today. We're talking about in the moment role play. And that's how a lot of us do it. We don't write out scripts. I don't think any of us do. Correct me if I'm wrong, write out scripts and then just sort of voice the characters and follow the scripts along. We're playing in a video game, which is an emerging story. Yes, the main quest of Skyrim is the same main quest, but how your character approaches it, that's where we get the character from. So, my first question to throw out to you guys is I have always said that improvisational role play in gaming is the sweet spot between what the player wants, what the character wants, and what the game wants. So, first of all, to each of you guys, let's try to define what we think improvisational roleplay is. And what does it mean to you? And can it be done the same way in video games as it is on a tabletop or live action or cosplay? What do you guys think about that?
I think you are restricted a little bit in video games, more so than a tabletop setting, because tabletop, the only rules you have are the rules of the game. There's no rules around the role play. It's kind of the same in video games as well, but you are always working with that game engine, which can sometimes work against you, I suppose. And things are a little bit more linear in video games, even though you've got, a lot of Bethesda games are quite open world, so you've got all these different paths that you can explore. I feel like it is still a little bit more limited than what you could do in a tabletop setting, but it's still, you still have the chance to let the game influence your decisions as a character rather than you kind of dictating what you want to happen.
I agree. And I feel like a really big part of role play or improvisational role play is just the aspect of play, of being playful. I feel like that's a very core attribute. Essentially, it really helps when you manage to sit down with the game and look at it with like childlike wonder in a way. If you're very open to, how the world could be exciting. Like, for example, you might think you might be down in a cave in a game, like in Oblivion, and you know all the monsters that reside down there. But in your character's mind, you could be talking about what could be around the next corner. It's about sort of seeing those opportunities, getting into the mindset and seeing the world as this big, scary place. Like if you're attacked by wolves in the woods, instead of saying, oh, there's probably a spawn point for wolves nearby, that's very technical and dry and not really interesting. But instead, if you go into, the character's head and you're like, oh, wolves, maybe there's a pack around here. These woods probably provide plenty of game for these beasts to hunt. And you start going down that path. You've taken, something very static and mechanical, a wolf attacking you, and sort of weaving it into a story because you're playful, because you have an open mind and you have this childlike wonder. And I think those are really important attributes to keep in mind if you want to do it and have fun with it.
And what do you think? Yeah, go ahead, Damo.
Leading on from that, for me, role playing is a way for me to enjoy the game in a different way, because the tendency, I've said this many times on my channel now, I can't play games off camera anymore because I don't role play as much as I do when I'm recording videos now. It's just I tend to pick options that I want to pick, and that usually is the option to try and win, to try and get the best this and that, and that I find very boring now. So I can't play off camera anymore, really. But when I'm role playing a character, I'm seeing the game through the character's eyes, and it gives you an opportunity and a window into doing things that you wouldn't do in real life. Exploring options that you wouldn't dream of doing, and looking at the consequences. And I always find that, especially with improvisational role play, is me as a game player, I often liken myself to a spectator at times. If the game has got a good role-play mechanic and it is open enough to give you enough options for your character to be able to be consistent in their decision-making as per this kind of personality that you have for that character, I often find that the game and the character drive the story, and I sometimes find myself as a backseat passenger just clicking buttons, because that's the way it is, and that's why I enjoy it so much. Sometimes I don't even know what's going to happen next.
That is a good point, that not knowing what's going to happen next. And that's where I think a lot of people get pretty scared. What would you say to that, right, Connor? That whole flying by the seat of your pants?
I mean, it's definitely scary, but I think that's the exciting thing as well, because it requires you to be engaged, to be paying attention to everything. But I think after a little while, it becomes a bit more natural, where you stop thinking like you and you just start thinking like the character all the time. like I've had trouble in the past with some characters like Logan, my Fallout 3 character. I think Fallout has a way of like doing these great big huge things and kind of I guess not playing into them as much as you think they should. Like you're coming out of the vault for the first time in Fallout 3. You've never experienced the outside world before. Well, if you have killed people in the vault, it's still there's a lot of things for you to process as a character. It's a hell of a day, and there's a lot of things going on, and yeah, it can be difficult to kind of keep yourself in the mindset of that character, the character that hasn't experienced these things before. But I think once you start doing it, you get a little bit of a roll on, and it becomes more natural. Like kind of what you were talking about before, Carl, about that kind of childlike wonder. That's what I tried to do with Logan there, because so much of this stuff is new to him. Like, even though it's a destroyed world, it's still a world outside of the box that he's been living in his entire life. So it's still like this fresh, new, exciting place to explore, albeit terrifying.
Brings me to a question, which is, each of us started out doing this, and a lot of us started out doing this. Like Carl was 2010, Damo
Right.
was 2010, Stu and I 2012, 2013 for Stu. Rycon, when were you again? 2012?
2013.
2013.
Yeah, 2013, yeah.
So we've all been, doing this for 10 years, 8 years, 7 years. So how was it when we first started out? Like, for example, I got comments like, because I started out with Mala in Skyrim, and I did something that I haven't done since, and no reason why. I just wanted to try other things. I talked as Mala, and then I also played a character in her head, like her guardian angel, which was basically me, my real self, kind of directing her, like, and there would be times where I would be like, okay, Mala, you go down over here and you face that Draugr, and she'd be like, oh, heck no, and it would run this way. It was a very interesting thing, and a lot of people still remember Mala, and I'm asked about her to this day. But when I look back, I haven't done it. But for any of you guys who want a good laugh, go back and watch my first video. And so that brings my question is, have you guys watched your first roleplay attempt? And when you sat down, because I mean, a part of this is talking to yourself for fun and profit, how to improv roleplay, but it's also about talking to yourself. Literally, we're in a room with a microphone, talking in an empty room. What caused you to want to get onto YouTube and do such a crazy thing in the first place?
For me, it was I was having such a good time in Skyrim, and at the time I didn't have any friends who were playing, and I just wanted to share the experiences with people. I've gone back and watched those videos, and they are cringy, man. They are for me, like, my first series was more of a traditional Let's Play, right? Where I was just talking my way through the environment. The character wasn't voiced, but the deeper I got into the progression of the story, the more bits I started adding in. Now, that's a character that I never voiced, and that character Fleet was the character that really put my channel on the map, as it were. But he's like the most boring character I've ever created, and there's a lot of people who disagree with that. But I mean, for me, it was a lot of storytelling through letters and stuff like that. There was no real voice. And so I think, when I look at my first actual voiced character, man, I'm trying to think of who that was. That may have been Robard. Robard. It's funny because we were talking before about what it's like to role play a character. There was something that what Damo was talking about really resonated with me, because I find that when I get into that character, when I understand the character's background, their personality, and I'm really inhabiting that character, they are way smarter than I am. They tell jokes that I could never tell in real life. They're way wittier than I am. They're much more interesting people. Like it's really weird, right? And so I'll do that for 3 hours, and I'll come away thinking, man, that dude's pretty cool, you know. And I couldn't reproduce that, you know. But when I get in front of the microphone, it kind of happens. So I don't know. I think somewhere along the line, just a switch was flipped. I tried it and discovered that I really, really liked it. And when I did that, I was way, way more immersed in the experience. And I would snap out of it, you know, a few hours later, like, wow, man, you know, like that was pretty cool. You know, so.
Yeah, as a comment to that, like, I think, because you mentioned that I feel most people feel this, watching old videos equals cringe. But I think cringe is really good because it shows you that you're not there anymore. Like, if you're cringing at something from a few years ago, that means now you've evolved from that stage. And so it's so strange when people can come by and maybe they'll find a Skyrim video from me from 2012 that I think is absolutely just cannot watch because I will cringe myself out of my skin. But people are finding it and really enjoying it, and that's good. So it should stay up for those to enjoy it. At the same time, I should look at it and be like, okay, sure, I found this and these aspects a little cringe, hard to watch, but that just means that, you know, I've evolved since then. So I feel like there's a positive thing there to looking back, because if you don't look back at something from several years ago and cringe, then have you really evolved all that much? Just possible thoughts.
That's a very good point, Carl. Does anybody else have anything to share about that?
Well, I was just going to say the best advice that I have for anyone when they're wanting to try and get into YouTube, it doesn't matter like what kind of category it is. I find the best thing to do is go find your favorite creators, go into their videos and sort by oldest. Watch their oldest videos, because you'll be able to see the progression from that old video to where they are now. Because I think so many people see what, you know, creators create and they're like, that's so far beyond what I could do, or I don't know how I would get to that point. But no one just usually jumps in and starts producing like bang out content right from the start. It's a slow kind of independent growth that happens over time. And you see that when you go back and watch your own old videos and cringe for sure, 100%. Definitely, there's a lot of that.
But the thing is, you know, our fans go back and watch our old stuff over and over again, which I know each one of us are like, why are you watching that? It's awful. It was terrible. I had a microphone, you know, that cost like $5 and I got at a garage sale. You know, it's just so bad. But it's because...
It's 2010, the things were backwards back then.
Yeah.
We were limited. That's what it was.
We were, exactly. And Damo is right about that. I mean, you know, we've all come a long way as far as like our technology is concerned and our skill set is concerned. But one of you guys recently mentioned, you were just speaking, and one of you guys, I think it was Stu, used that word immersed or immersion. The dirty word. Immersion. I don't know if you guys feel this. I think Stu might. I remember Stu has this, but you know, this whole like you know, my immersion. I can't do this and we'll ruin my immersion, that kind of thing. And so my question is, from improv roleplay really is about getting yourself immersed, like taking the character and putting them on, becoming them, and forgetting that you are in your four walls, on our planet. We're now in Skyrim, we're in Fallout, we're in Baldur's Gate. And so how do you get immersed? And also, second part of that question is, so many people think of roleplay as being something that is you know, if you install like Frostfall in Skyrim, that's roleplay. Like your character is now cold, so now you're role-playing. And is that really roleplay? I mean, to you guys, I think it's a tool, isn't it? I mean, Brycon talked earlier about limitations of games when it comes to role-playing, and some mods give you more scope to role-play within certain parameters. Tool, but it's not the be-all and end-all. I mean, as you'll know if you've watched me for any length of time, I don't use mods hardly ever.
Everything I play is vanilla. My Skyrim LP, which lasted for about 3.5 years, and that was all vanilla Skyrim. And the reason why I managed to roleplay that game for so long and stick with the LP for over 400 parts was because of roleplay. Because every time I logged on, I became that character, and that's what kept me going. So I mean, mods are just a tool, but they are a handy tool if they achieve what you want for your character.
I think there's definitely a scale for role playing as well. You know, you've got like your fully voiced, fully like character motivated stories, but I think role playing for a lot of people can be just going, I know that if I go, you know, 10 minutes in that direction and, you know, open this door, open that door, I can find the best weapon in the game. You know that as a player, but even just the smallest part of role playing is you as a player going, I'm not going to go for that because I feel like my character wouldn't know that. They don't know that it's there, so that's it. And it's a really simple, small thing, but you know, some people do that. And I think the kind of videos that we create kind of change the way that people approach games as well. Because before I started watching some role play on YouTube, I just kind of played things more as a player. I didn't bring as much of a character into it, but as soon as I started that, I just couldn't stop. And even when I'm just trying to play by myself now, I can't play not as a character. I always have the character's motivations in mind, even when I'm just playing casually.
Yeah. And I think what's important is that I feel like role-playing, as you asked, Just, I feel like role-playing and mechanics are separate. Like, role-play is independent of mechanics. Mechanics can help facilitate roleplay by making you cold, by making you eat, all of these things to, you know, more easily get into character. But you can take strictly linear games that have no real mechanics for roleplay and just use your fantasy and add to it. Like, I remember playing Spider-Man 2 as a kid, which is the best Spider-Man game. And in that game, instead of doing the missions and doing the quests, I would say, oh, Spider-Man, he works at the pizza shop. So I would run around inside a pizza shop in town and like do aerial combat moves to impress the customers. And once I'd done that, I would say, I've gotten paid, though there was no mechanic for getting paid. Then I would be like, oh, I need to go home and sleep now. But there wasn't really a house or a sleeping mechanic. So I just went to a homeless shelter in the game and stayed there for a few minutes. Then I was like, okay, it's a new day. And then I went out. Like, no mechanics were in that game, but me and my friend would sit there and roleplay and just have so much fun together pretending for hours. So mechanics are really good, but roleplay is independent of that, I feel.
Yeah, I think there's other tools too, independent of mods, that you can implement as a form of roleplay. For example, like if you're creating a psychological profile for your character as a way to help remind yourself where they are, where they are psychologically in a place and time, and how they would make decisions and how they would react and things like that. There are certain tools that you can use like that might be similar to something like an author would use to sort of just nail down who is this person and how are they evolving over time and how do I track that. But again, that's a tool for deeper role play, and I think perhaps a stepping stone to inhabiting the character more completely. Those are things that I used to do as a function of tabletop gaming, right? Where I would come up with some of these things, I'd write them down. When I started playing Skyrim, it was the same way. I've gotten to the point now where I don't need those things anymore. When I have a concept planted in my brain, now I can kind of inhabit the character and I can kind of roll with it, right? It's all improvisational now. But for me, it was a progression starting from really just straight up let's play commentary to fully voiced shedding all of those things. And often I will see mods, for example, that present a particular challenge that I want to use as the basis for exploring a character concept. So I might introduce that and say, how can I use this in a unique way or something like that? But again, I concur. It's a tool to facilitate, I think, a deeper level of connection with a character.
All right, so I appreciate your answers for that. And also, chat, you might be noticing that sometimes the guys' webcams are kind of going wonky, like they're melting. I don't. I'm melting! And it seems to really be happening with Stu a lot, and then sometimes with Damo, and I don't know what it is that's causing that. But
I'm drinking.
My hair was green before. It was kind of cool. Yeah.
What's your diet? But anyway, yeah, and sorry, I was just I forgot there that I was muted. I apologize for that. But anyway, I see questions coming in. And I want you guys to go ahead and gather your questions because the team is gathering them and throwing them into Discord with me. And at this, we finish up, we'll talk about those. But we've got a little bit more to go here. And so I thank you, everyone, for your patience with the webcams and whatnot. And the next time we do this panel, hopefully that problem will not be there. But in the meantime, you'll just have to look at us melting off to the side. Anyway, The next thing I wanted to ask you guys is, let's talk about something really fun. About like how many of, so all of us are basically voice actors, as in we voice characters, I think, except for I think maybe, no, Damo does too. And so
Only very recently, actually.
yeah. And actually, Damo and I have a private game of Divinity Original Sin 2 going on, where I'm trying for my first time to play an evil character. She kind of turned out more just kind of slutty than evil, but, you know, I had, whatever. It was my first try. She's...
Not family friendly.
No, it's not family friendly. That's why we're doing it. You guys are like, oh, show us, do a live stream. I'm like, no live stream. But I want to hear all of us do a little bit of voice acting and talk about some voice acting. Like how, like, so someone comes to you and says, I love what you do on YouTube. How the heck do you voice characters? So for me, there is a process of bringing a character's voice to life. It involves a lot of talking in strange ways in the shower. Sometimes my husband, who I've been with for a long time, my husband, who's been with me for a long time, is used to driving down the street, and all of a sudden I just start talking in different voices while he's driving, and he just keeps on driving while I'm testing out different voices. It's perfectly normal to him. He's been married to me for a long time. But what tips would you give to someone who wants to start voice acting their characters? Did you get comments that you were weird or nuts for doing so when you first started? And how do you find the character's voice? And this one I'll also answer as well too after you guys have gone, because I keep forgetting to actually answer the questions for myself because I am a role player and an improver too. Anyway, go ahead, guys.
Well, just as like a little point, when you're actually like voice acting, you are putting yourself out there in a different way than if you're just playing the game differently. So you do open yourself up to that extra criticism of, well, what are you doing? That's weird. So it's all about getting comfortable with that, I think. And as for just learning voices, I find that listening to the particular voice you want to learn, like when I was going to play a Khajiit, I looked up Khajiit voice clips and I was like, how is it these people talk? And just, you know, play around and just try things like sit up a little differently, maybe move your mouth, maybe do different, like just play around with it. And eventually you find a couple of settings for your body that you like. And then you could just swap between them. You know, it's a whole body thing when you're talking. It really does change how your voice comes out.
It's funny that you mentioned that because that's something that I didn't notice about myself. I think it might have been last year. I had our national newspaper in New Zealand came to my house and filmed me doing my recording, which is, I've never had that happen before, and that was incredibly awkward. I had to pretty much like pretend that I was like recording something, so I just like launched up Fallout 4 and I started doing my character Ash and that was awkward enough knowing that there was someone just over my shoulder, but I didn't realize until afterwards just how physical I am, and I'm always doing something with my face. Like I'm always like fully articulating the emotion on my face as well, even though no one's ever going to see it. But it comes across in the voice a whole lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I have certain key phrases that I'll use for particular characters, like vocal affectations, right? That when I say them, snap me back into character. And that has become super important for me recently as I'm doing crossover episodes where I'm voicing 5 characters at once having a conversation, and it becomes like some of them are really hard. Like some of them I can do naturally, and some of them are like, ooh, what is that? I gotta find it, right? And usually it's something like a simple vocal affectation that'll drop me in. I'm melting again, I know that, but that's okay.
It's funny because we didn't actually have this problem yesterday. We did an entire stream and no one melted even once. So I'm not sure what's going on, but so here's the next thing, and actually I will answer that as well too, because Stu, I do the same thing. Each character has a line that I do that brings me into that character. Kenlyn Tullius, for example, General Tullius's daughter. I did a playthrough with her using the whole Civil War quest line in Skyrim as a backdrop. And so I'm going to try and do Kenlyn Tullius, though I haven't done her for quite a long time, just by using her words. My name. Nope, that's not right. I do see the same thing. My name. Oh, and also the other thing I wanted to say is that, I don't know if any of you guys do this, but there are characters, they live in certain places inside my mouth. Some characters come out from the top. Do you do the same thing, Stu? Some characters come out from the top of my mouth. Some characters are from the back of my throat. Some characters are underneath my tongue, where I try and put their voice to make it come out the right way. Mm-hmm. My name is Kenlyn Tullius. There she is. And my father, General Tullius. For him, I am his secret weapon. Yeah, that's Kenlyn Tullius. So, and that was one of the most enjoyable playthroughs I did. The whole, for me, the way that playthrough started was just, there is a place in the Civil War questline in Skyrim in which you can switch sides. Only one place. When you get the horn of Jurgen Windcaller or something like that, there's an artifact you get in the beginning for either the Stormcloaks or the Imperials, and you can take it to the other side and switch sides. So I thought, what if I started out the playthrough with a woman who was pretending to be a Stormcloak and a man, and had her infiltrate the Stormcloaks in the beginning, and then the whole idea of the playthrough and the whole kind of like gotcha was that I would convince, just with my voice, convince people that she was a man, and then later on show that she was a woman. And that reveal video that I did, where I try, in fact, Stu was my inspiration for that, and he was really good at using the camera voices. Carl is too, of flying the camera around, like using in Skyrim, and like so I tried to like fly the camera around and like did this swoop through solitude, and then came up on her face, and it was a woman, and everybody was like, oh my god, it was so cool. But anyway, and then I did the rest of the playthrough, the Civil War quest line, with her being General Tullius' secret weapon, and she went undercover in Windhelm, and during each of the quest line, different points. That was my most favorite playthrough of Skyrim, was Kenlyn Tullius. So,
and it was made that great because of, just the role play and the little bit of extra effort you put into the videos as well. Like, I feel like as a viewer, you notice, especially if you make videos like these yourself and you watch somebody else, the little extra touches that people add, like a special intro, maybe the camera zooms in, the music sets the mood, maybe a voiceover from the character before you begin to play. Those small things, even if they don't take that much effort from the creator side, the fact that they give that little extra is really noticeable. So, you know, that epic moment for your character is something that, you know, sticks with you because you put effort into it, and it pays off, and it becomes something more than just another Civil War playthrough.
Yeah, that's really the difference, is that all 5 of us could do the Skyrim main quest line and role play it and put it up on our channels, and it would be 5 entirely different playthroughs of the same exact quest line that wouldn't have anything similar between them, because role play is so individual to what each of us can do and what each of us are good at. Like, Stu is really good at doing these epic trailers, man. Oh my God. Like, Hollywood's got nothing on these trailers that he does, and making these, like, weaving these characters together. And then Dark is really good at, like, bringing out a character and just making her, like, you're just so lighthearted with your characters, Dark. You're really lighthearted. And then Damo is really good with bringing out the depth of a character as well, too. And then Rykon, dude, your voice. That's really it. I mean, I'm not saying that's all that's it, but that is your signature, your voice. Like, for example, could you just do a character for us? Anyone. Pick Leon Aventis. Do Leon or somebody, because and I'm gonna put us all on the spot. Come on, we're improvers.
Of course, yeah.
So I'm gonna have us each do a character, and I just did Kinlan, so the rest of you guys are gonna be on the mic. So Rykon, character, please.
Right. So I have to get a little deeper first, down low.
Girls, is it getting hot in here?
My name is Leon Aventis, and I am a cursed man.
It's a lot of gravelly, a lot of deepness, and like physically being lower as well to get lower. But yeah, that's a little Leon sample.
All the girls are like, oh God. But seriously though, you're Leon Aventis. I'm gonna put it real honest with you. Leon's a panty dropper.
Well,
there we go.
There we go. So I'm gonna throw somebody else under the bus next. Stu.
what?
Hey, how you doing? What's up, dude?
Yeah.
So pick a, of course, I want to hear your personal panty dropper, Robard.
Robard Graves.
Oh God, Robard Graves is so hot.
One of the things that is I guess I use the mod. You guys familiar with the slave pack mod with Mr. Whack, the Reekling? You guys familiar with him in Skyrim?
Yeah, Mr. Whack, yeah.
The Reekling companion with a giant backpack, and he's called Mr. Whack. He has become, he doesn't have any, well, he has voice lines, but they're all unintelligible, and they're part of the mod. Well, he's become sort of a supporting character, and most of the characters interact with Mr. Whack at some point. Well, his name is Whack Whack, but Marl calls him Mr. Whack. He says, Mr. Whack, exactly what are you doing with that fish? We've talked about it. The fish is not for you. It belongs to the city of Whiterun. And Robard would say, Mr. Whack, you caught yourself a fish. Good job. Right? And Twist would say something to the effect of, Mr. Whack, you're going to eat all that fish? If you're not going to eat it, I'll take it. He does something like that. And Vander would say, hey, nice fish. Got to run.
Yeah.
So that's an example of how I would try to get them to talk to one another. But yeah. So for me, it's like I'm not good at any particular accent. I pull crap from all over the place and I mash them together into something that resembles something else. So on my Fallout Let's Play, I did my best to do a Boston accent, and I was getting a lot of comments saying that sounds like there's some New York in there too. And I'm like, okay, perfect. He was born and raised in New York until he was 11, and then he moved to Boston in with his grandmother and spent his teen years there. Done.
Hmm.
You know, and then I didn't worry about it after that.
What about your English? Your English accent is
It's pretty good.
it's pretty. I was going to say, Damo, can you give us a?
Pretty good.
Does it set? Would you would he be convincing to you?
Yeah, it was pretty good, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. An endorsement, I'll take it. Take any endorsement I can get.
More English than me.
So Damo, you're next. Who do you have?
I mean, I didn't start voice acting properly, really, until probably the latest series. I mean, I started doing voices probably in about 2014, 15, kind of casually with Baldur's Gate. Because of the game, you voice all the NPCs yourself. And so rather than do it in the same voice, I just tried to have sort of generic voices for a female, for an old person, for a thug, just to mix it up a bit. And that kind of was a little bit of an introduction to it. But ever since then, I've just kind of been, in and out with it. But the latest series that I've got running, my role play of Pillars of Eternity 2, because the characters are voiced in the game now, it allows me a bit more time and effort to be able to actually voice my own character from start to finish. So I'm voicing a character called Fedoran, who's a rather eccentric wizard that likes feathers in his hat and fancy clothes. So he's a bit of a flamboyant type. So, greetings, everyone. I am Lord Fedoran, Lord of my own keep, master of my own ship, scion of flame, bester of Consul Hort, and a dragon slayer. Pin your luggles back, grab a drink, and I shall regale you with these epic tales sometime this evening.
I love that. Awesome.
That was great. That was great. And the voice, our voices are instruments. They're tools that we can use. And so before we go to the questions here, I am going to ask you guys kind of a fun, just off the wall question. How do you come up with the cool character names? Like, how do you guys do that? Like, do you just, I keep, for example, I'll answer my own question. I keep a Google Keep document. And every time I think of a cool name, or I hear of something or see something, I write it down in that document and then sort of scan through it. But really when I come up with, like, for example, Kenlin, is I happen to have met a person in real life whose name was Kenlin, and I was trying to think of a name for her, and Ken, meaning family, and Len, for me stood like lend, like to lend something to someone, because I knew that Kenlin was General Tullius's family that was going to be lent to the Stormcloaks in order to win the war. So that's where Kenlin came up. So
That's very deep.
yeah.
I
So
like it.
Kenlin Tullius, that was her. How do you guys? Another character that I loved was Baudelaire the Bard, who was from my first Pathfinder Kingmaker playthrough. And I just loved saying Baudelaire the Bard. And that was the first series where I actually sang. And I'm not known for my singing abilities. So that was me pushing the envelope and getting uncomfortable. And I thought, if I put this out here and when I start singing and my views just drop, like you can go through the video and see when the views drop, like in the minute I start singing, the views just go, whoa, then I would know, don't sing, thank you for playing, but don't do that again.
Yeah.
So that was where I pushed myself, and I'd actually like to do more singing characters, more bard characters, and it was really cool to like have her play in that way. So tell me about your character names. Like, how do you find them, and your favorite character name you've ever come up with?
Well, I just need to reference something in chat because I've been called out. So I'm not very creative when it comes to names. So once upon a time, I made a character named Narina for a Dark Souls 3 Let's Play. Then there was Jarina in a Skyrim Let's Play. Then Oblivion came around and it was Marina. Let's play. I've also had Marthar, and then I was like, I need another guy's name. Sarthar. Got it. Perfect. Nailed it. Other than that, it's just, you know, Marina Mistfire, just having some alliteration and making it sound fanciful. Sort of a cool first name and then a last name that has some sort of resonance to it.
I mean, without you saying that, I would have just thought that they were all just, references to each other,
Yeah, it's the same character, but in like
Yeah.
alternate timelines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. I think my process has just been mostly what sounds good. There was a while where I realized my first two characters both had L names, and I thought maybe every single character I do is going to have an L name, but I dropped that eventually. Most of the time, I haven't put too much thought into it, really. Surprisingly enough, it's been what feels right for this person, what fits their face, what fits the kind of character, and just running from there, really. Yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite as well. Yeah, not sure.
I mean, I'm completely random. It depends what mood I'm in, to be honest. Sometimes I'll purposely pick a really simple name just for the laugh. So, like my Fallout 3 playthrough, my character was just called Bob. His straightforward name. Some names are created on previous characters. So, for instance, like Horston in my Dragon Age playthrough was named after a famous general in Medieval 2. So I'll name them after previous characters from previous playthroughs. Fedoran likes hats. Fedora hat, stuck an N on it, Fedoran. And I've got anagrams of names of characters as like throwbacks to others. So like Godan in my Baldur's Gate playthrough became Nadog in Pillars of Eternity. So it's completely random, but it's just whatever feels right at the time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. My character names are often driven by personality traits, maybe. That I'm trying to convey, So Marl's character, he's supposed to be very imperious and sort of over the top. So Marl Lavor Keenlit, big long name that he can spell out to people, because it or he can pronounce it in syllables for people, in a way that seems imperious. Another character named Stax, who is just named. That is a nickname based on the fact that he is a money counter and he just counts stacks of cash, stacks of coins. He becomes known as Stax. And probably my favorite is Robard Graves, which is a play on grave robber.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean he's the resident asshole character, and so I like, how can I make him despicable? So Robard Graves, and then there are background pieces where in his childhood he's referred to grave robber and stuff like that. So that's kind of the direction I go. But some of those come out of my head. Some of them are inspired by other things. Some of them come from fantasy name generator, stuff like that. It's all over the map, really.
And which comes first, the character name or the character personality and bio? And the second part of that question is, do you write up or have a big like biography of the character? Like, I know a lot of people, when they think about role play, they go and they write out this long, paragraphs long biography of the character.
So I'll start that. For me, I create the character look and I get a general feel for the personality. I'll keep it purposely loose. I'll just pick a general feel for the character rather than being too prescriptive, because that allows me to adapt the character as the game progresses. And I like the character to react to situations in the game to actually also shape how they're going to end up. I like to play the game from start to finish. I play a lot of my series blind, so I don't know how the game's going to go and how the game is going to finish. So I like to keep my character open to some degree so that they can develop and grow as part of the playthrough. So I create a bit of a character sheet and a generic principle, but then a lot of my characters develop far more in-game than anything that I could have planned out beforehand.
Yeah, I think a backstory is important, but you don't want to have a forestory. You don't want it to be leading on too much so that you can have the development. But I mean, characters have had lives. They've had, massive events that have happened before the story picks up. Sometimes you're lucky and you can kind of go with the amnesia route. Like the first character I ever did, Logan, in New Vegas, was running with the whole amnesia route. So I had a complete blank slate that I could start from. Because it was my first time role playing as well, it seemed like a really good option and a good kind of introduction where I was like, okay, cool, I can just make this person whoever the hell I want to. I'll let them be influenced by the game world and have that really drive the person's personality over time. But the backstory does, it does get a bit more of a concrete vision of a character in my mind. I think it's important to have that before you go with the name, because I feel like the name can almost come from the character that you make. I mean, they can be influenced off each other, but I tend to just get that character outline, the backstory, their history, where they come from, what their motivations are before I do anything else.
Yeah, I think that's the right approach too. I think you can have a really strong backstory and maybe like a vague idea. Like if I'm going to run a D&D session, the start is planned, what's going to happen, what's going to set up the adventure, the exciting incidents, some hooks, and then I can't tell just exactly how the story is going to go. And so instead of scripting everything along the way, instead you might set up potential scenarios that could happen. Like we could go here and then it would be cool if we did this or this. So you can have some hanging threads. I like to have some milestones, like what I want to achieve at some point, but the road there, that's totally optional. So it's like a mix. There is some structure in it with like that distant goal, the thing that that could be cool. But of course, some of the best moments happen that are not scripted. It's just along the way, you're like, oh, that was really cool. Let's go down this road. And if you do that, everything else you've scripted would be worthless. So it's good to just, keep it light after the starting point, I think.
Yeah, I usually start with some sort of concept, maybe not a full background, but and I don't write things out as much as I used to. What I find is I find it easier to discover the character's personality, to really explore that through dialogue. So I try to envision, what does this character look like to someone else? And so sometimes I will do little vignettes or something like that, where I'll sit down and I will write out a script, like such and so says this, then such and so says that, and I'll kind of write that out a little bit, and then I'll actually go into game and I'll make a little vignette out of it and use it as a way to express something about the character's personality and background through the eyes of another character, through conversation or observation or something like that. And I tend to go that direction now, really, really focused on dialogue. But again, a lot of times the vignette is something that I might create and I would release it as sort of a preview of the character before the series starts. But once the series starts, the vignette has served its purpose. It's helped me engage with whatever the character is going to be. And then, from there, it's about merging the look and the name with all that stuff I'm feeling from that little dialogue sequence or series of them. It's a messy kind of thing for me, but it works somehow. So I just keep doing it.
I mean, the vignette idea is pretty good. It's like that milestone. You have some structure in the chaos, but sort of between those. You have the fun of the chaos, just seeing what happens, but then you can also really hit those powerful story moments that you want along the way. I think that's a good compromise.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And my stories tend to be structured that way then too, where when I'm doing a live story episode, most of it is me playing the game. But then when I get to that critical moment where there's a cutscene, I've got a prepared cutscene of 5 to 10 minutes, and I switch, boom, and I play the cutscene, right? So I've got some writing, there's some cinematics, and then boom, I'm back into the play, right? And that's kind of how I structure those things. So like you're saying, I like what Carl's saying about that, because it really helps you pin down. There's these big moments you need to have in order to get the story to progress. But then in between, I can fill it in with personality and just random let's play stuff, and the mixture has worked for me anyway.
So
Agreed.
what I hear you guys basically saying, if I could encapsulate that, is that you don't really, all of us don't really encourage for people who are watching this who want to join in on the improv role play train. Sounds like all of us are basically in agreement that you don't want to strangle the character too much by having too much structure on the character, because the whole thing is about the really awesome moments that happen when you totally weren't planning for it. And you're just that sweet spot again. I love it when in dialogue, for example, with the character, the game character says something, and then a lot of times with role play, I don't say what the game is telling me my character's going to say, on voiced, not voiced games, where the protagonist is not voiced. The character will say something like, the game character will say something like, hello, how are you? And you might say, you have 3 different answers that you can choose from. And, you choose the one that's closest to your character. But one of the things I encourage you guys to do is to not read exactly what the game said. Take the essence of what the game is saying. For example, the game says, yeah, I'm having a crappy freaking day. What is it to you? And instead, you could kind of elaborate that and be like, maybe this backstory is that your mom just passed away. You'd be like, well, how am I? My mom's 6 feet under. How do you expect me to be? Or whatever. And then you can go with that. And then the character responds. And so after a while, I forgot. I realized that the audience, even though they can see that that's not what the game is saying, my character said, that's what my character actually said. So that's what they remember. And so you can start out in role play by just expanding on what the character says. And then for me, the sweetest moments are when I expand and then click the enter button or whatever, and then the game character responds back as if they heard me.
Yeah, that's a really, really good tip. And it's just fun when you play to say a sentence that's not exactly said, hit enter and see how the response matches. Because sometimes that also pulls out some really interesting scenarios.
Sometimes it's really funny because sometimes, of course, the character in the game responds totally differently than you expect.
Yeah.
And then you have to role play why they responded like that. Either they didn't hear you, or they're crazy, or, what, am I speaking French here? You don't understand me? That kind of stuff. So,
it's just, sometimes in games, like for instance, you'll get a situation like, say, Pillars of Eternity, and you see 3 options, you think, my character won't say any of these, So you've got to improvise. Like in that situation, if you've got a party of 6 characters, I kind of say, well, actually, my lead character didn't say that. A recent example was the line to advance the quest was, you had to threaten this guy to turn his pet into a pair of boots. And my character wouldn't say that, so I kind of role-played it as if the more nasty character that was stood behind him, had said that rather than my main character. So you've got a bit of creative license is required sometimes.
And that's really the funnest thing. And I'm kind of stuck on. I'm going to pick one of 2 questions. I think I'm going to go with. I asked a question like this to my grandma gamer friends yesterday in tea, and it was a great question. And I think I'm going to throw it at you guys as well too. And then we're going to take a couple questions from the audience, and then we're going to finish up for today. So my question to you guys is, if you could imagine your perfect role play game, what would it be? And I'll give you guys a moment to think over that answer while I talk to chat. So chat, if you've hopped in the last 40 minutes or whatever, we are recording a panel for PAX Roleplay. This panel will be going up live during the 9 days PAX is going to be 9 days this year. It's a long time, and they're going to be on Twitch on 3 different channels. And so we are going to be this particular panel is going to be, I'm going to throw it up on screen for you guys now. Put this down on your calendars. We're going to be live on PAX Online Monday, September 14th from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time. So that's 11, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 o'clock Eastern, and then goodness only knows what that is, GMT, on PAX 3. And I'm hoping that most of the guys will be able to hop in, even though it's kind of late for, I know, some of the West Coast folks, but be able to, and I know it's late for Carl, I know that, but we'll be able to hop into chat and hang out with the people. Yeah, I know it's 4 a.m. for you, I know, so I completely understand if you won't join us for that. But some of us will be in chat. I believe that's late afternoon, evening for Rycon where he is. So in the PAX panel, and I invite you guys to come and watch it because you're going to be watching an edited version of this panel with the juiciest bits kept in 55 minutes, and it's all part of the PAX online extravaganza, which I don't know how many people are going to be in the chat, but I'm imagining at least 100, maybe more. I have no idea. It could be hundreds. I have no idea, but that are going to be watching us later on PAX. So I just wanted to make that clear for you guys. And now you guys can jump in and tell me, dream a little bit. What's your favorite? Like, it doesn't even have to be made. It's not a game that has to be made. Like, your ideal favorite role play game.
Well, it's not a very exciting answer. It's not really even about the contents of the game. It's just about giving me access to tools that lets me represent the game in the best way. Give me that flying camera from Elder Scrolls and Bethesda games. Give me the ability to turn off HUD. Give me the ability to take a character and order them to do things or talk, like going into the creation kit for Skyrim and giving them custom voice lines. Just give me the opportunity to do these things, because I really, really enjoy, taking the camera, setting up a little shot, moving it around. And if the game allows me to do that easily, I'm so much more inclined to make cool stuff, rather than a game where UI is locked on, can't really move the camera. You can still roleplay in those games, fine. But when you want to do like the machinima stuff, just having that extra control over the game's tools, the camera, UI, that really sells it for me.
Totally agree with that. And I like a game with a silent protagonist. A world that is big enough and inflexible enough that you can inhabit it in any way that you want. So if you want to say that, your character is living out his life as a busboy in an inn somewhere, you can live that out and you can build a story around it, right? It needs to have that kind of flexibility. Those are the important things for me.
I mean, the important things for me, I still am a computer gamer. I do inject role play and storytelling into my series, but I want to enjoy the game first and foremost. So for me, I'm a sucker for music. I love a good game, with good music. That's what stands out for me in a lot of games that I've really enjoyed is great music and scenery. I just love games that have got real good scenic backdrops and things, and if it's got those two things, it's already off to a winner. And then the third thing would be, like other people have said, just the tools to be able to take the character in the direction you want without having to force things too much, and be able to enjoy the music, enjoy the scenery, and have an overall enjoyable experience, a good experience with the game. I mean, for me, the game that meets that quite closely is Witcher 3. I really, really love that game. The music, the setting was so good. If it was that combined with a silent protagonist and maybe a custom character and a couple of other bits thrown in, that would enhance that for me even further.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Carl. Having access to like production tools in a game is fantastic. And I mean, so much of what I think all of us do with games like Skyrim and other Bethesda games is using the console just to kind of break the game, to be able to get it to do something that it wasn't really intended to do. I'd be so intrigued to see if in the future and within the next decade, we see more games having that back end be available for people to be able to create content with the idea being, hey, you know what's really cool? Free advertising. People making content with our games, and people continue to play them because they want to make content with them as well. It'd be yeah, I'm intrigued to see what direction that goes, like what kind of tools we'll have, whether or not in like the Elder Scrolls 6, if they'll have better tools or if they would have restricted them. I don't know. It's either that or we will all just get better at breaking games. Like Outlast 2, for example, has a voice protagonist. I had to go in and find Blake's voice files in the game and delete them all so that he wouldn't speak during the game. So there's ways to break things, but it'd be nice to not have to break them.
That's really
if there were
cool.
options there for making things. Yeah. I mean, I love tabletop role playing because it gives you all of these things, all the things that we want to have in a video game, but you know, it's just there already. So I find that's where I end up going when I'm really craving like freedom to do anything really. So we've always got that at the very least, even if your kind of computer games let us down sometimes. But I think I'd have a hard time kind of outlining what my perfect game would be, but having access to more tools would just be fantastic.
Okay, gentlemen, so we are winding up and we are heading on into Q&A. I want you to ask your questions, and oops, that's not the overlay I wanted to use. Well, actually, you'll have to do. Okay, so just go ahead and ask your questions. Ask your questions, and I can see that I've gotten a ton of questions from my team, and a couple shout outs. There are two awesome people in chat right now, one of whom was supposed to be in this panel with us and he couldn't. Joe from the Panicked Monk is in chat right now. Hi, Joe. And also Shirley Curry has been asking questions. She was asking Dark when you're going to start a new series, Dark.
Yes, so I have a brand new computer now because my old one was starting to struggle to play Skyrim and stream at the same time. So I was like, okay, it's time for an upgrade. So gonna get new mods installed, gonna take Kijor for a spin, new adventures, some sort of expansion mods, and really dive into Skyrim again and just enjoy the possibilities of that on a brand new computer.
So when Voices says that when Carl says that he's going to install new mods, we who play Skyrim and mod it know that he should be available for that series in about 2 months.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because that's how long it takes to install mods in Skyrim and do all the patching and stuff. Oh my gosh, I still have.
And we know that it will include 4K tree bark, right?
Yeah.
Carl?
Yeah, if it doesn't have 4K tree bark or maybe even 8K, what's the point?
What's the point? No, I want you
up of the tree.
I want you to get nice and close to that tree bark, and then I just want you to say, Jessa. This is for you, baby.
Yeah. The game runs at like a slower frame rate. It's much choppier because Jessa had to have the 8K tree bark.
They're a really nice slideshow.
It's beautiful. Okay, don't judge. I love my 8K, all right? So anyway, but yeah, so that is that answer for Shirley. I wanted to make sure that you knew that I saw that, Shirley. So so there's a ton of I'm going to just show you guys some of these questions that I have here that I've got to choose from. You guys are asking some amazing questions. Look at all these. And my team, wonderful team, has been collecting all of these questions. And I don't know how. I'm going to have to pick a couple, but I want to thank you guys for asking them. Trust me, I'm sorry I won't be able to get to all of them. We'd be here for another 4 hours, but I'm going to just pick a couple now. Let's see. Here's a question from Magus. Magus or Magus? 80. He wants to know, who was your first inspiration when you started? And the way we're going to do this Q&A section here is I'm just going to fire a question at you. The first person who answers it gets it in, then I'll fire another question out, and we'll just do kind of a hot seat type of thing. Okay? So first up, who was your first inspiration when you started?
For me, it was a Canadian YouTuber by the name of Inferno Canuck. I know that Inferno inspired a number of others in the roleplay community. His Fallout 3 roleplay was the first. Yeah, it was the first time I'd seen anything like that before, and yeah, that's what got me started making them, because I started searching on YouTube trying to find more roleplay videos, and there just weren't any at the time that I could find. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start making this for myself, and started a New Vegas one just because I was like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna do this and put it on YouTube so that I can watch it back myself later, and yeah, so that got me started.
All right, next up, question is, and by the way, I watched Infernal Canuck, so it was really cool to hear that name from way back in the day. And then this is from Angie. This is from Miss Angie. Hi, Angie. Do you ever experience character roleplay hangover? How do you recharge afterwards?
I recharge by only doing a live stream every 2 weeks.
That works.
Yeah. My live streams are generally 3.5 hours long, and I know where they're going to start and where they're going to finish, not necessarily what's going to happen in between. They're structured, so hopefully I end in a good spot, right? But by the time I get through with 3.5 hours of immersive role play and trying to do all the technical stuff on the fly live, I'm done, right? Mm-hmm. And so I take a couple of days off, and then I start prepping the next episode, building the cutscenes, doing the things I need to do, and the tension level builds up, and then there's another blast, and I get 2 weeks off, and it just cycle that way.
You know, that's actually a good question. With
major props to you for doing that live. Like, it's enough to do role play just offline with the camera, and you can be like, oh, that didn't really work out, let me try again. But doing it live, that's like major props.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. I hit the cutscene, right? And I know it's going to play for 10 minutes. And so I'm rushing around doing jumping jacks, going to the bathroom, getting a drink, whatever I got to do. And then I'm running back again, and boom, it's right back into it. So it's like, it's a juggling act. And my computer setup it's been described as the devil's pipe organ. It's like so much stuff going on.
The devil's pipe organ.
It works for me. So,
and I actually have started doing completely live too. I have, starting with the Dwarves, the series that I just finished, I now have taken the entire, editing, uploading out of my process. I've cut it all out, and I just set up a live stream that is private, and I just record, basically live stream. YouTube saves it as a recording, and then I just go into the YouTube editor and just chop out the beginning. I've gotten really good over the years at not, if I make a mistake, just kind of flow through it. And so I just chop out any kind of extraneous parts, and then I just save it as a new video, and boom, that's a series. I skipped all the Sony Vegas, all the Adobe Premiere and all that stuff, all of the editing, all the uploading a number of series. I've skipped it all out, and I am so much happier that way. And I also like the feeling of, this is on the fly. I mean, it's just completely improv. I'm not going to go back and edit anything out. What I'm doing on the Jessa channel is completely unedited, besides just cutting out the dark blank screen, the black screen at the beginning before I say hello. That's it. So, next question is, this is from Open World Addict, who I know many of us recognize his name because he's been watching many of us for many years. What can you do if your voice is not great because of a disability?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
go ahead. We're too polite. You go ahead.
God damn the delay. That's all right. I was gonna say, well, I mean, sometimes you can lean into that a little bit. I mean, I like to bring a lot of myself to my characters as well. So whether or not you can bring that aspect of yourself to that character, that can help with that. Other than the fact that I know editing can make a big difference for some people. Even me, I don't talk that great very often. I have to edit a lot. But through the power of editing, you can manage a whole yeah, a whole heap of that. So whether or not you could do it through editing or embracing that in the character, I kind of see those as two different options.
Agree.
Yeah, good.
Our last question here of the day. This is from Michelle L. Lewis. How important is post-production work?
Well, you just said that you don't really do a lot of post, production work. So I think it really depends on the series you make and the workflow that you're the most comfortable with and what the audience wants. Like, I like to spend some time, with that little extra thing on the beginning, camera zoom in, normal episode, then camera zoom out, and you get the outro. So I think that a little bit of polishing helps it, lift it to the next level, where you're like, okay, this isn't just like a straight let's play, because I want to just infuse a little extra, though. You get a lot of power in post-production, I feel. So if you harness that correctly, you can give them an experience that's like, oh, this is actually something I'm kind of intrigued. I haven't seen anybody, do it in quite this way. And like, oh, the music soared there in a way that the game wouldn't be able to. But if you go in, play the game mute, add your own music, you have the perfect soundtrack to the episodes. That sort of stuff, I think, is a really powerful tool that you get through post-production.
And it also means that you can edit out the parts where like someone might walk into a fireplace and catch on fire as well, which
Yes.
I have trouble rationalizing as a character. I'm just like, they're on fire. They just willingly walked into the fireplace in the middle of the tavern, caught on fire. No one's reacting. That guard just looted something from them.
Yeah, so
All right.
basically NPC stupidity, how do you edit that out? That's the ultimate question. How do you role play around NPC stupidity? Who knows?
You play a game with a lot of save slots.
Yeah.
And you save a lot. Because a save and a load point, like maybe going through a door, something like that, snip in editing, and it's seamless.
So, yeah.
So we are
You've got to,
going
of course,
to
edit. You could edit your mother coming in and calling you for dinner and things like that.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot.
Often. She's a star of the show nowadays.
She is. I'm like, where's your mom?
I've stopped editing that out.
Don't edit out your mom. We love your mom. I don't know how many times I've heard your mom be like, Damo, it's time for dinner. But she doesn't say Damo, but she does say time for dinner. But anyway, so I want to really thank chat for joining us today for this amazing episode. I'm going to ask you guys who are here with me on the panel to hang out with me. Go ahead and mute your mics, and I'm going to head over here to this screen so that I can say to you guys, I am so glad that you joined me today. And this panel will be up on PAX, and I will ask the guys and myself. I will also be posting in the day or two before. It's going to go up on PAX so that we can see it. There's a lot of great stuff that was shared about role play today, and I feel like all of us guys, I did forget to tell the guys to go to the bathroom before we started recording. I said that to my grandma friends, because we grandmas have tiny bladders. But so I'm imagining that a couple of guys are just sitting there going, oh God. But anyway, but we could talk for hours about role play, and we just kind of scratched the surface today for this PAX panel. But I want to thank all of you guys for joining me on the Jessa channel. And I am currently playing Luna the Shadow Dust on the Jessa channel. And then coming up next is Wintermore Academy. And then after that, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be bringing the Outer Worlds to the channel. Outer Worlds, which is a really fun game, the game I was referring to that Raikon played. And it's a great short little RPG. It's kind of like Fallout Light, So if you ever wanted to see me play some Fallout post-apocalyptic, there you go. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with a little thing here and say goodbye to me. And the guys can hop in chat and say goodbye as well. And I will see you on the Jessa channel. And thank you, as always, for watching. This episode is brought to you with the support of patrons of the Jessa channel, like Velest. Thanks, Velest. Join the party at patreon.com/the Jessa channel.